So I'm Stuart Hirst, I'm the IT security manager at Skyscanner. Just wanted to give you a bit of a rundown today, very briefly, I've only got 15 minutes, around the culture of Skyscanner and what we do, because we do things a little bit differently. What I won't do, I'm afraid, is go on about Sony and Target. Sorry, Cal, I know you've already kind of covered that, because it's all a bit boring, we've all heard it. We can all do the background reading. So what I'm going to try and do today is let you know what happens at Skyscanner, as much as I can tell you within reason, and what we do about it, and how we go about implementing security in a modern, lean, agile internet business. So a quick bit of background. We're the world's leading travel search engine. I can't even see this one down here, so I'm having to turn around here. It's my short-ass stature, I'm afraid. Over 60 million hits a month, flights, hotel, and car hire mobile apps, emerging into China and Russia. Over 30 versions of the site around the globe, and we've got 10 global offices at the moment. And as was mentioned, gone from 100 employees to 750 in the space of about 4 years. We now power MSN's flight search in 31 markets around the planet. And we've just entered into a venture with Yahoo in Japan, which is worth 60 billion hits a month, I think they hit over there. And we power lots of other websites, Lonely Planet and various others. We do this with a few solutions. You can have our API, which will build your own travel experience, white label so you can customize your own product, or widgets on the website, or using our kind of back-end code. So what do we do from a cultural point of view? We do a thing called squads and tribes. We've taken it from Spotify. It allows us to be extremely lean and agile as a business, even though we have 750 people. So squads are, in effect, mini startups within our business. So they may consist of 3 to 6 people, a couple of development guys, testing guy, infrastructure person, and they look after a small part of the product. So it might be the flight search part of the website, one of the mobile applications. There's about 50 across the business, and they have autonomy to really run how they want to run. They choose their own tools, they can code in whatever they feel is necessary to do what they need to do, and we give them the freedom as much as we can to do that. If they need to download a tool, open source, they can do it. They don't have to come to us as security people to ask for that access. We trust them to do some of the security aspects that many of us in the room would normally be used to doing, pen testing, scanning, the boring stuff that we have to do. We expect the squads to do that themselves. We're there to help if needs be. And they own specific name services, but they're very, very self-sufficient as parts of the business. But it brings its own problems from a security point of view. A lot of organizations in here won't be able to do what we do, especially the financial sector. You've got to have your overarching security function that controls all those accesses. So tribes, you can have numerous squads within a tribe, so that might be the full flights aspect of the Skyscanner product. Encourages people to work, squads to work well together. Provides the bigger picture, and it's run by senior management generally. So how do we set our objectives from a Skyscanner point of view? We do this on a quarterly basis, but the squads, again, have autonomy to decide what they want to work on in that quarter. So we don't have a CEO telling us what to do. My manager doesn't tell me what to do. We exist as a squad to come up with the ideas, define them as objectives, and then run with them. We don't have a long-term strategy, certainly not in security. The business has a long-term strategy to become the most trusted brand in travel, but in security, we don't. Things move so quickly. What I'm doing today in 3 months could have changed depending on what's out there. A bit scary for some people that we don't have that long-term strategy, but it works for us at the moment. Our industry and our company moves so quickly that we don't know what's around the corner, so we have to adapt with it and change as we go along. So each tribe and squad defines their own OKRs, and then they change every quarter. And they're deliberately stretching. We don't expect to hit 100% on every OKR. If we hit 100% on every OKR, I'm probably going to get a bollocking from my manager. We deliberately stretch them. And again, that's fairly unusual for some businesses. We don't encourage failure of OKRs, and we're trying to get as much done as we can. But if we don't hit everything, it's not the end of the world. We probably didn't stretch ourselves if we hit 100%. The culture, I can't stress enough the culture of internet businesses. We are very different from the financial sector. I've worked there as well. Culture to us is everything. It allows us to move at the pace that we need to move at in the internet business. We have complete freedom to do our jobs. Apologies, Scottish company. And I love this quote: technology is the product of the culture that builds it. There's a no fear and no blame culture in Skyscanner. So nobody's getting hauled into a room by their manager if they make a mistake. Our chief operating officer said at a conference a few months ago that, a great quote, "Now is the moment of my failure and I'm not scared." People do their best work when they're not scared of cocking it up. So encourage that culture. If you just blame people for making mistakes, they're less likely to take a chance the next time. We have a rapid rate of change in Skyscanner, hundreds of changes going in every week because of this squads model where they're putting all sorts of changes and fixes in. So doesn't that mean that we're less secure? Well, no, we actually find the opposite is true for Skyscanner. You probably can't see that, but that's not us. We don't test our code in production. We were testing it way before it gets to that point. So we deploy code so regularly that a security code fix or patching event is just another code fix going in amongst 200 code fixes going in that week. So 4 weeks for a fix? No, I don't bloody think so. Let's try 4 hours. We can do fixes in a day if we need to. So how does security fit into the squads and tribes? It is something that's very new to us. It's taken us a year to get to squadification, as we've called it. And security is very difficult to embed into that because each of those squads has autonomy to run how they want to run. A colleague of mine came up to me a few months ago and said, "You're making this shit up as you go along." Yeah, I mean, we kind of are. I think as sort of Cal mentioned in his, I'm not going to wait for somebody else to tell me where I'm vulnerable or where our organization's vulnerable. We're going to go out and find ourselves. I'll come on to a few slides about how we do that. I'm not going to read stuff on Twitter that tell me how vulnerable I am to something. I'll go and find that. So to an extent, we are making shit up as we go along. So real world, happy to tell you guys this as much as I can within reason. There's the hint, we are a victim. We're not a business that says, not us. If you haven't found it yourself, you ain't looking in the right places. You are a victim. It's happening to you. Again, I'll come on to some of the behaviors and things that we're finding. So what we're a victim of. Espionage. We get hit by bots, millions of hits a day from across the planet, across our TLDs. We are scraped by a legitimate Chinese company, 2 million hits a day, taking the flight data from our website and using it for their own gain. We let it exist to a certain extent because we make some money from it. But that's happening every day, and I'll come on to what we do about it shortly. Third-party account hacks. We had a hack in March of a advertising account. Let's call them Google, because it was Google. And they managed to hack into one of our AdWords accounts. They managed to get into the password reset. Don't know how they did that. So even a password reset wasn't stopping that hack. Only way we stopped that, 2FA on all the accounts. Stopped that straight away. Google wouldn't tell us it was their fault. Means it was their fault. Low-level DDoS, thankfully we've not seen an absolute showstopper, but we're not naive enough to think that it may happen at some point. Somebody will go after us. Foreign law, we are big in China and Russia at the moment, or becoming big in China and Russia. The Russians just implemented a new data protection law. Any data on a Russian citizen has to be on a Russian server. So we frantically scrambled to get some Russian cloud servers spun up. I'm sure you can decide for yourself what they're going to use that information for. Malware, adware, malvertising, I'm sure you're well aware of those things. Employee behaviour, I'll come on to some of this. So we're very free and open. We allow our employees to use their work machines at home to watch Netflix and browse the internet, but it comes with a bit of a cost. So we see people BitTorrenting movies, Game of Thrones, any kind of new TV show that's coming out, we see it. Porn, unfortunately, yes, it's on their home Wi-Fi, but it's on our machine, and do they think we can't see it? We can see it. When it's thankfully not on the work network, because we're pretty good with that. But you'd be surprised. We're a modern internet business, and we've got some of the best employees that I've ever seen, and some brilliant graduates that come in, and they're looking at porn on work machines. So we're still fighting that fight around awareness and education. We've had uploading of documents to our intranet with usernames and passwords. Same stuff as Cal talked about there. It's basic stuff, but it's just happening massively. I personally was emailed a document of salaries of very senior members of staff by error. Not great. So what do? We don't reinvent the wheel. We do some great stuff at Skyscanner, but a lot of the things that you'll hear lots of people talk about, it's not reinventing the wheel. It's fairly basic stuff, but it will protect what you need to protect. So what did we do? We implemented a bot blocking solution, not cheap, but it's saving us thousands a month in bandwidth costs at the moment. We graph everything. If we can bring everything, we bring everything that we've got that we can monitor and graph into one single place, and that's what we look at. So if you've got anything in your organizations you can graph that you don't graph them, because at least you can build alerts off the back of that. You can see things that aren't as they should be. Most internet businesses now are moving towards that. This is a good one. So we have, on our intranet site, we have a blog section, and most employees in the business look at the blogs. So what we did after we'd found lots of those usernames and passwords is we put a blog post together where we pretended there'd been a hack. A major hack. We spoofed up some fake tweets, a Facebook account, or as if we'd hacked the company Facebook account, faked up a BBC News story, put this all in the blog, and only at the very bottom, in very small letters, did we put this hasn't actually happened, but it could have happened, and it happened, or could have happened because of this. Since that, we've not had one instance of people putting usernames and passwords on our intranet that we can find. So, simple stuff, a few hours work, but it's had the desired effect. Some of the other basic stuff we do, I'll rattle through this because I'm sure you guys all do the same if you're working the same kind of thing that I am. Firewall, endpoint alerts, DDoS alerts, reviewing third parties and cloud solutions, DPA, PCI, boring, pen testing, scanning. Bug bounty is an interesting one. We just started doing bug bounty schemes where we're opening up to the public to say, okay, come and have a go at us, see what you can find, and we'll pay you for it if it's any good. They're going to go after us anyway, so why don't we try and encourage them to find things that a normal pen test might not find? Awareness training, we run university courses within Skyscanner, we do hacking seminars, and we show them the tools that we use. Some of the better stuff we do, so we play war games. We might drain a data center and DDoS it, see whether our protection's any good. We spoof Wi-Fi access points in the office and see who connects to them, then try and man in the middle of their phones. We'll try and hack into people's laptops who've left. I'm hoping this is all legal. This is the stuff I can tell you about. And we try and find internal data that we probably shouldn't have access to. So what we're moving into, and this is I'll probably repeat the vendor thing that Cal's talked about. God, I get 1,000 phone calls, and it's just, my product's better than your product, and no, it isn't, and it's very expensive. We're looking at machine learning, we're looking at mathematics, human behavioral cycles. I don't just want that tick box that's costing me 100 grand that says it's going to protect me from everything. So if any vendor wants to get in touch, that's what we're looking at. If it doesn't do it, probably best not to. We're looking at open source. Netflix do some amazing things with their open source security tools. Chaos Monkey, where they bring down their own servers. Security Monkey, which can be spun up in AWS. We use Kali Linux, Backtrack. I know pen testers use these things. Well, we use them. We learn how to use them and play around with them and see what value we can get. And we're 100% moving to the cloud. We won't have any physical data centers in the next couple of years. So a few findings, as I've been in Skyscanner about 9-10 months, and it's a very different business to where I've been in the past. Not everything is critical in your business, despite what people might tell you. Forget about trying to reduce meaningless stats just so that you can impress your boss. And I love this quote that's coming up. If you go from 48% to 32% on fire, you're still on fire. So the stat is meaningless to a certain extent. You still have to deal with the problem. It might make you look better to your seniors, but the problem's still there. Simple and quick wins, they're good wins. It's easy, it doesn't have to take weeks and millions of pounds. The stuff I've just talked about there with blog posts and awareness, it works. Try and increase the likelihood of one of your employees telling you something's happened. You can't monitor everything, you don't see everything across your business. A lot of the things we find in Skyscanner is because somebody's come and told us that it's happened. That email's suspicious. Or my computer's doing something funny. Run attack simulations, the war games thing that I've talked about. Why don't you try and break something before somebody else breaks it within reason, because at least you'll be able to deal with it more quickly and you'll learn from that experience. So what next? Focus on what you can do, not what you'd like to do. I'd like to spend £5 million securing the whole business. It's not realistic. So what are the things you can do? There'll be plenty of tasks on your list that you can proceed with quickly. Simple wins, the stuff I've just talked about. Discover your crown jewels. Yes, there's lots of other things you need to protect, but what are people going to go after you for? What are the things that make you important for them to go after? I get people in other internet businesses saying, people will go after Skyscanner because of this. Well, will they? I've got to focus on who I think are going to go after me. again, that's repeating myself. Focus on those people that are going after your business, not your competitors, not another industry. We're all very different. So some thoughts to leave you with. Probably heard these kind of things before, but I think they're quite important and they fit into the cultural aspect of the organisation I work for. Don't be an asshole. I've worked with lots of assholes, and it's just not conducive to getting work done. If you're approachable as a security person, people will talk to you, and they'll tell you things that they otherwise wouldn't tell you if they think, don't want to go near the security guys, they're assholes. Reward people. If people tell you about things that you weren't aware of, buy them a coffee, buy them a beer, buy them some cookies, take them out for dinner, whatever. You'll feel good, they'll feel good, and it just keeps that whole conversation piece going within the businesses you work for. And the last one, try and say yes a little bit more. We're seen as no people all the time. Try not to say no. Let's change the perception of security. Let's try and be the people who help progress, not hinder it. So thanks very much. I'm on Twitter. You can grab me for coffee or beer later on. So appreciate it.